not reopen in the fall. What do you think about that from the president, making it very clear that he wants schools to reopen, and in fact there could be negative outcomes for those that don't?
Well, one, we should definitely open up the schools, and we need to stop listening to Dr. Fauci, who is funded by Bill and Melinda Gates. And all of your listeners know this, I know this, you know this, we all know this, but Jeffrey Epstein's not a good man, and Bill Gates spent a lot of time with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. So I don't think we should be listening to a pedophile for how to treat our kids, period. And we shouldn't be listening to people who spend time with pedophiles as it relates to our kids. So if Bill Gates wanted to watch my kids as a babysitter, I wouldn't let him do it. I'm certainly not going to use a vaccine he recommends. And Bill Gates has asked Dr. Fauci to serve on his board for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So stop listening to Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci. They are corrupt individuals, and Bill Gates hangs out with pedophiles consistently. Why would he hang out with Epstein? Why would he do that? It's sick.
Okay. All right. Clay Clark, thank you for coming on today's program.
Chase, they just announced earnings and they were incredible. Where are you? They were very substantial. Will you say thank you, Mr. President, at least? Huh? I made a lot of bankers look very good, but you're doing a great job.
Out. He knew he was in big trouble. I think he borrowed more than most other prudent real estate people. He had extended himself to the Trump shuttle, to a yacht, to a helicopter, and to a lot of things which weren't generating any cash flow, and he had to support his lifestyle. So he was in trouble.
Does anybody else want to bet $190,000 we're going to sell it?
When the economy and the real estate market plummeted in 1990, attorney Alan Pomerantz says Trump owed $4 billion to his debtors, including that $1 billion for which he was personally responsible.
Because he personally guaranteed so much debt, the leverage shifted dramatically over to the banks, because it was no longer an issue of a bank and a piece of real estate. It was a bank in Donald Trump's actual survival.
Trump owed money all over town to 72 banks in all. Pomerantz represented them as a group. How close was he to going personally bankrupt?
Very.
Trump makes a point of saying he never went personally bankrupt, but there's a reason why the banks decided to keep Trump whole.
We made the decision that he would be worth more alive to us than dead. Dead meaning in bankruptcy. We don't want him to be in bankruptcy. We want him out in the world selling these assets for us.
So you wanted him alive because he was a salesman and could best sell his own properties.
That's correct. We kept him alive to help us.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that second video. You know I like to make you think on the weekends. This video, of course, is going to be about Trump's deregulation speech. It's always encoded. And the fact is that basically all presidents have speech writers. Stephen Miller is Trump's speechwriter, and then also his Twitter writer. So the fact is that if you're replying back to Trump on his tweets, you're not replying to Trump, you're replying to Stephen Miller. But let's go in and listen to what he has to say.
They're great people. They're doing an incredible job. I also want to thank the many state and local tribal leaders who join us in this great cause. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you all very much. That never happened before. The previous administration added over 16,000 pages of heavy-handed regulations to the Federal Register. That's why nothing got done. Under my administration, we have removed nearly 25,000 pages of job-destroying regulations, more than any other president by far in the history of our country, whether it was 4 years, 8 years, or in one case, more than 8 years. The prior administration piled up more than 600 major new regulations, a cruel and punishing regulatory burden that cost the average American an additional $2,300 per year. Think of that. The average American, $2,300 regulation, hitting low-income Americans by far the hardest. These regulations also inflicted a steep economic toll on African American communities. By contrast, our reforms are putting more money into the pockets of hardworking Americans. In addition to saving every family more than $3,000 per year, my administration has just issued another reform that My Council of Economic Advisors estimates will lower the price of new vehicles by more than $2,200 per vehicle, and savings on broadband internet services and some home energy bills will be really historically cut. It's actually amazing. As well as historically low gasoline prices. Gasoline prices, you look today, I think it was $1.99. At the same time, we saved our oil companies. We're now the largest, since we've been here, the largest energy source in the world. Nobody's even close, so it's great. But we saved them. They had a hard time a number of months ago, and frankly, for a long time, but we've saved them. But $1.99, they were telling me, in some cases lower than that.
All right, guys, so let's break down what he just stated. Basically, of course, he goes off and says tribal leaders. Now, don't forget, guys, that's where we came from. We were tribes. Then, of course, basically, you have your gangs. And then, of course, you have your elite families. So it's all the same thing. Tribes, elite families, gangs, is all the same. Now, basically, getting over into him going through the deregulation. Of course, he said gas prices are cheap. We know the fact is the gas prices are cheap. Why? Because the fact is that the deal that we made with the Saudis, the petrol, the oil petrol deal. Now, the fact is that now that deal is over. Of course, Saudi Arabia is moving over to what? Technology. That's the reason why they did Aramco and made it public. They're moving away from oil. Now, we had a lot of our U.S. shell companies file bankruptcy, so he didn't save them. We know the Rockefellers still run majority of the oil. And what did the Rockefellers do? ExxonMobil is building a $10 billion complex in China. We see California moving over to electric. It's mandated that they've started moving over to electric vehicles. We know Elon Musk, all his vehicles are going to be either electric and autonomous. So the fact is that we see all this coming about. Of course, the robots, automation. I went over the energy bill that Trump signed. So the fact is that we slowly see the technology phase moving in, and that deregulation allows it to move in. So the deregulation is not for the people. It's for the automation, the robots, to take even more of the jobs. But I'll be back. Let's listen to more.
Home appliances so that you can buy washers and dryers, shower heads and faucets. So shower heads, you take a shower, the water doesn't come out. You want to wash your hands, the water doesn't come out. So what do? You just stand there longer, or you take a shower longer? Because my hair, I don't know about you, but it has to be perfect. Perfect. Dishwashers, you didn't have any water, so the people that do the dishes, you press it and it goes again, and you do it again and again. So you might as well give them the water, because you'll end up using less water. So we made it so dishwashers now have a lot more water, and in many places, in most places of the country, water is not a problem. They don't know what to do with it. It's called rain. They don't have a problem. And old-fashioned incandescent light bulbs, I brought them back. They have two nice qualities. They're cheaper and they're better. They look better. They make you look so much better. That's important to all of us. But they're better and much cheaper. And they were mandated out, legislated out, and we brought them back, and they're selling like hotcakes. We stopped the egregious abuse of the Clean Water Act, which extreme activists have used to shut down construction projects all across our country. When I signed that legislation, I had many farmers and construction people standing behind me, people that haven't cried since they were a baby, some of them never even when they were a baby, and they were crying. Many people were crying. We gave them back their life. They took away their land. They took away their rights. They took away their life. By reining in EPA overreach, my administration has returned the agency to its core mission of ensuring clean air, clean water, and a truly pristine natural environment. Our air now and our water is as clean as it's been in the last 4 decades. Yesterday, our country achieved yet another groundbreaking milestone. by completing a sweeping overhaul of America's badly broken infrastructure approval process. It was totally out of control. Instead of taking up to 20 years to approve a major project, we're cutting the federal permitting timeline, it's already been done, to a maximum of 2 years or less, in some cases even less than 1 year. And it's possible that it won't qualify. It's possible that it won't be good environmentally or safety. But most projects will make it, but you won't go for 10, 15, 18, or 20 years. There are many horror stories that we could relate. We're reclaiming America's proud heritage as a nation of builders. My administration has also eliminated massive regulatory barriers in our battle against the China virus. These actions save countless lives, speeding up the production of equipment. That means ventilators like nobody's ever seen before. Probably the greatest source of manufacturing, the greatest achievement since World War II. We're now making ventilators for countries all over the world. In medicine, accelerating the delivery of life-saving treatments and ensuring that we will have a vaccine in a record time. We're doing fantastically well on that. That'll be for another time, another meeting, but we are doing on therapeutics and vaccines incredibly well. No administration in history has removed more red tape more quickly to rescue the economy and to protect the health of our people. When you think of it, we are all set up that as we get the vaccine or therapeutic, and we're set up militarily, we're going to be delivering it in record time. It's all set to move. We put an investment up front, and we have logistical people, generals, great people. They're going to be delivering this all over the country as soon as we have it, and we've made tremendous progress. You've been reading about it. Telemedicine, thank you. Great job. Great, really a great job. The people here, they get no credit for it. I don't want any credit. They should get the credit, but they get no credit. But we've done a great job helping so many other countries now. We made telemedicine available to all American patients and allowed doctors to work across state lines. I will tell you, the telemedicine is something that's really gone up by thousands and thousands of percentage points of percent, because what happened is people that wouldn't even think of using telemedicine all of a sudden started using it, and it's really turned out to be good. Really turned out to be good, and it solved a lot of problems. So that's something that's been great advancement. Furthermore, I've ordered federal agencies to look for ways to make these healthcare reforms totally permanent. Vice President Pence is also working closely with state, local, and tribal leaders to streamline occupational licensing. Bureaucrats controlling their every move and micromanaging their every decision. With each regulation we cut, we are not only returning the money and the power to our citizens, we are draining the Washington swamp, and they're not happy about it, I can tell you that. I think you know that. The swamp was deep, I just didn't know how deep. Deeper than I thought. I want to, just as president, say that I will always fight to defend your rights and your freedoms. I will fight very hard for your rights and your freedoms. The hard left wants to reverse these extraordinary gains and reimpose these disastrous regulations. They want to take what we've taken off, Jim, and they want to put them back on. And I guess they can do that. You'll fight them for a little while, but eventually you'll lose. And they want an instrument of federal regulation at a level that you haven't even seen yet. You think that was bad? You haven't even seen it yet. They want to go many times what they put you under in the past. Under the unity platform Joe Biden published with socialist Bernie Sanders, they are proposing, and this is all in writing, it's done, they agreed. They are proposing to re-enter the job-killing, unfair Paris Climate Accord, which will cost our country trillions of dollars, trillions and trillions of dollars, and put us in a very bad competitive position relative to the world. Not surprising to you, China will be greatly advanced under this ridiculous agreement. So will Russia, so will many other countries. They propose to mandate net zero emissions from all new homes and buildings, skyrocketing the cost of construction and putting the goal of home ownership out of reach for millions, destroying the look of the home, the beauty of the home. I'm somebody that's built many homes, many buildings. If you take a look at this, it doesn't look good. You still have to sell, right? You still have to sell. But they've put it out of reach from a cost standpoint, totally out of reach. It's not practical, it's not good, and it doesn't work. They want to eliminate carbon from the U.S. energy industry, which means abolishing all American oil, clean coal, and natural gas. No coal, no gas, no oil, nothing to fire our massive plants. The result of this federally mandated shutdown would be the wholesale destruction of the entire energy industry and many other industries, the economic evisceration of entire communities, and the unfettered offshoring of millions of our best jobs to foreign countries and foreign polluters. Millions and millions of jobs would go. Thousands and thousands of countries would be at a level that you've never seen. Companies would be disappearing left and right, just like they did with NAFTA, which we terminated for the USMCA, which is another beauty that we've done, not for now, but another great beauty. But thousands of companies, plants, factories would be closed. Under this dismal future, energy would be unaffordable for the vast majority of Americans, and the American dream would be sniffed out so quickly and replaced with a socialist disaster. The Democrats in D.C. have been and want to, at a much higher level, abolish our beautiful and successful suburbs by placing far-left Washington bureaucrats in charge of local zoning decisions. They are absolutely determined to eliminate single-family zoning, destroy the value of houses and communities already built, just as they have in Minneapolis and other locations that you read about today. Your home will go down in value and crime rates will rapidly rise. Joe Biden and his bosses from the radical left want to significantly multiply what they're doing now. And what will be the end result is you will totally destroy the beautiful suburbs. Suburbia will be no longer as we know it. So they want to defund and abolish your police and law enforcement, while at the same time destroying our great suburbs. The suburb destruction will end with us. Next week, I will be discussing the AFFH rule. AFFH rule, a disaster. And our plans to protect the suburbs from being obliterated by Washington Democrats, by people on the far left that want to see the suburbs destroyed, that don't care. People have worked all their lives to get into a community, and now they're going to watch it go to hell. It's not going to happen, not while I'm here. The Biden-Bernie plan would also use the weapon of federal regulation to tie the hands of our police departments by abolishing cash bail. Think of that. Think of that. Bail. No problem. They killed somebody, let them out. Take a look at what's happening. Crime in New York City up 368% from just a short while ago. They got rid of a lot of police, and they're in the process of doing it $1 billion. They probably want to abolish. It's not even believable. When I first heard about it, when you first heard about it, you didn't think it was real. You didn't think it was believable. Just like the Green New Deal. How crazy is that? But they're actually trying to put it into play. It'll mean the end of this country.
All right, guys. So the finishing part of the speech was the Hegelian dialectic. So I'm going to break this down for you. Now, basically, he talked about the EPA with the regulation and how they're deregulating. Now, guys, let's go back to West Virginia when DuPont was poisoning the water for almost 16, 20 years. And, of course, West Virginia's majority white people. They were getting cancer, sick, everything. Now, basically, let's move forward. And then we had Flint, Michigan doing the same thing where majority of black people are there. So, guys, nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. It's always about money and power. It's never about the color of your skin. It's money and power. But you have to have a slave class in that capitalism in order to rise to the top. So that's what that's about. So don't forget that GM already knew the water was bad because it was rusting out the engines. They had to move. So don't forget about that. Now, basically, Trump talked about mobilizing the military for the vaccine. So, guys, we know that is coming. So make sure that you're watching out for that. And then he goes into the actual prison system in America, how Biden, again, the Hegelian dialectic, Biden wants to get rid of prisons. He doesn't. So the fact is that we know that the prison system is nothing but a financial gain for the corporations. We know majority of these men that are in prison are for non-violent crimes. And we know a lot of that crime comes from what? Poverty, economics. So it's been so many investigations and documents that I can go over and over again, like the Monahan report, that clearly show they took money out of the inner city, so therefore they could have more crime. So therefore they can send more police officers in those communities. And of course, the prison system is nothing but for financial gain. It's nothing but a form of slavery, so therefore you can get free work, and then also you can start funding different avenues and basically wash the money. So it's a whole lot when it comes to the prison system that you can look at if you do your research. And then lastly, he goes over the AFFH. Of course, Ben Carson is in charge of the housing. Remember, I went over Ben Carson. So again, that's the Hegelian dialectic. So the fact is that, of course, we have things in place as far as with discrimination against people of color or whatever race you are. So therefore, you get the fair value as far as the loans are concerned. But we know for a fact that doesn't work. None of those work. It doesn't work on purpose. We know JP Morgan's been busted. All these big banks have been busted, giving higher loans to blacks, Latinos, different races on purpose. And again, guys, this is nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. It's managing conflict. You're never solving anything. Guys, remember that. The intention is never to solve anything. They could have been solved racial issues, gender issues. That's not the point. You can never come to a new world order if everybody's getting along and everybody has a fair share. I can never reach to the top. I can never have the rule over everybody if I do that. So the fact is, never ever forget that. They manage conflict. But that's all I have for you guys, and y'all have a wonderful day.